Well, folks, Raw kicked off with a recap of last week's Money in the Bank qualifier, which Seth Rollins won, and that we will be getting Jey Uso and Sami Zayn teaming up, taking on Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker later on in the show. After we saw what matches were coming for the show, folks, we had CM Punk make his way down to the ring, which, whenever he makes his way down, it's always going to be fun. We know this. So, his promo, typical Punk, typical gold, and he just went on about Jey Uso, that is his friend, and when he wins Money in the Bank, he's gonna, may cash in on his friend because it's only business, or he's going to take on John Cena. And with that, he just looked directly in the camera, said, John Cena, I got your number, Summer of Punk, bringing back the famous feud they had decades ago, over a decade ago, man, that's a long time ago. And then he said, you sold out to a bald-headed bitch. And obviously we know that CM Punk has no love for The Rock, which, to be honest with you, The Rock seems just to be using his power now in wrestling, but whenever his persona in Hollywood is taking a beating, he'll come back to wrestling because fans just love to see him and they'll clap and he'll feel important again. But that was that. But obviously, with going on, he did say that the foundation was for Cena, so hopefully we could see that this coming summer. But then Sami Zayn came out and he told Punk not to worry about Rollins and everything because him and Jey are going to take care of them tonight, which obviously straight away just leads and just plants the seed that we will be getting Seth Rollins and his company interfering in the main event, which is the last Money in the Bank qualifier match for the men's. Obviously, we know what's going to happen there. And it was a solid opener. It wasn't bad. It was, we did have quite the number of We Want Truth chants going out, which I still don't understand why they got rid of R-Truth, who was with the company for nearly 20 years. And every time he's on screen, the guy is gold. Hell, in the last couple of months, he has had one of the best selling t-shirts at all merch stands. And he just had his match with John Cena the other week at Saturday night's main event. Overall, though, it was a solid opener for Raw, and are we going to be getting the Summer of Punk, baby? I really do hope so. We then went into our first match of the evening, folks, and it was for the last spot of the Women's Money in the Bank qualifier. As you can see, we had Ivy Nile, we had Liv Morgan, and we had the brand new, just signed to Raw, Stephanie Vaquer. Obviously, this match was a banger because it was just great from start to finish. We had quite a lot of triple moves, which was actually really great to see. And most of them were actually set up by Ivy Nile, just to get everyone involved, which just shows her mindset, which is absolutely incredible. But we already know that Liv can put on great matches. Hell, we've seen Ivy Nile put on great matches. We all know Stephanie Vaquer, who is the first ever NXT double champ, the first South American double champ as well in other promotions. We knew that she was just awesome, and again, she's just showing the world why she deserves to be on top. She is absolutely spectacular, and in this match, she just destroyed everyone, and I am so happy to see that she is the one who got the win. She is going to Money in the Bank this coming Saturday, and it's very interesting actually, because on Saturday, she's actually wrestling in the afternoon first at Worlds Collide, NXT and AAA, but then she's in the ladder match later on in the night. We're going to see something special from her in the next couple of weeks, and to be honest with you, even though Mami is in Money in the Bank, I want Stephanie Vaquer to win, and I want her to get the title because she deserves this more than anyone else in that actual match. But like I said, Vaquer's going to Money in the Bank, folks, and it was a very good match. Next up, we had... I don't know what's going on. I really don't. I'm going to say that first. We have no idea what's going on with the men's tag team division on Raw. They just seem to be lost. All we've got is the War Raiders, Judgment Day, the New Day, and the Creed Brothers. And hell, the Creed Brothers aren't even there sometimes. I don't know why, but the tag team division on Raw for men seems very, very stale. The only good thing about it all is when the New Day, Kofi and Xavier go on commentary like they have here. As you can see by this part by here, the War Raiders, They embarrassed him because they went to throw McDonough into him, and Xavier Woods fell off his chair, and obviously the arena and the commentary, they were all just laughing. It was great. But sadly, we need to see more from these teams now. And I really do think it's like they almost haven't got anyone else to go against. It's like, right, you four, right, we'll do a fatal four-way, we'll do a triple threat, right, okay, now you can go against them. Then New Day, you can go out on commentary and just do whatever. And it does seem to be that they haven't got any kind of logic going forward for these four teams. They really don't. And the way that they keep going on is, like in this photo by here, you got the War Raiders, like, yeah, we're going to get the gold back, and that's really it. But why aren't you putting anything on? You got Money in the Bank weekend. You could have had a ladder match between all of these. You could have even done like a steel cage or a street fight amongst them. It could have been something to make people go, oh, I want to watch that. Which again, sadly, the crowd were not really into this either. And that's been the same now for the last couple of weeks. But obviously with Judgment Day, they got the win. They actually had Roxanne Perez come on out and distract Ivar when Finn Balor got the coup de grace on him and they got the win. Sadly, all these men involved in the men's tag team deserve more. They really do. Speaking of seeing the same thing over and over, we had another Lyra Valkyria and Becky Lynch promo. Yeah. Again, now, these guys, they have a match on pay-per-view or PLE, whatever you want to call them. Then they do a couple of weeks of, oh, we're just going to talk to each other on the mic. Yeah, we're going to do this. And then back to the PLE. Then back on the mic. Then back on the PLE. And it's like, come on. There has to be other people who could get involved in this feud. Don't get me wrong. When these two have a match, it's spectacular. Their match at Backlash, one of the best of the year. Absolutely phenomenal. But it's like, come on. When you have someone in the female division who is as good on a mic as Becky Lynch, and hell, Lyra Valkyria, she is stepping up her mic game incredibly, and she is not on the same level as Lynch yet, but she is getting there. And it's just like, yeah, we got no ideas, folks. Just go out there, just say a few words, yeah, and we'll see what happens that way. And that is exactly what they seem to have been doing. But the worst part of this segment here, Becky was like, I'm not going to fight you. I don't fight in Tennessee. Lyra chased her out of the ring, and she attacked her up by the backstage entrance. But a spider's web could do more damage to someone if they walked into it than what these two were throwing at each other. That's how bad it looked. And it's absolutely sucky to see that's the way that this is happening. But we will talk about this later on as the show on a whole, because there was some things where it's just like, really, this is what's happening. Our next match, folks, was Jey Uso and Sami Zayn going against Bron Breakker and Big Bad Bronson Reed. This match won the bad tag match, but again, it didn't add anything to the story between all of these folks that is involved. It was done just to have these guys on the show, and that's okay now and again. But when you haven't got anything going about it, when you have the world champion, okay, we're going to either do a promo or we're going to do a tag match. It's like, right, okay. And that tag match isn't even the main event. It's like, the guy's the world heavyweight champion. He should be the one who's running the show sort of thing, built around him, which is what they used to do. But it was almost like they're running out of creativity in the back as well, which sucks because Raw has an insane amount of talent. There's so many people backstage who they are not even using. But we did have a few good spots here, but then it ended when all four men were outside of the ring after they took everyone out, and we had Sami Zayn jumping over the ropes, which got caught by Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed, because, well, you got someone of Sami's size, and then you got Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker, who are like, two of the big mountains. They're just going to catch him. Jey Uso came through the ropes with a suicide dive, taking them all out. But then Seth Rollins ran in and done a stomp on Sami Zayn, which got the DQ for the match. Yeah, it was another DQ finisher, which, come on guys, where's the creativity in all of this? Obviously, it was a 3-on-2 assault, but then we had CM Punk come out with a chair, and again, this is when we knew that Punk's not going to win the main event, because Seth Rollins, when he's regrouped with Reed and Breaker, he just goes, we know where Punk's going to be later, we got him exactly where we want. There we go, we know he's not going to win. But it was another DQ, and it was kind of sad to see that this is the way it happened, you know? But overall, it wasn't a bad tag match, but it wasn't exactly amazing. Before our next match as well, we actually saw Liv Morgan going into the back where Judgment Day was, and she asked Finn for a word, for a quiet word. So obviously he was like, yeah, what's wrong? He came up and she was like, I can see what you're doing. You invited Roxanne into the clubhouse without speaking to me. You also sent her out with my match last week, which I lost. And it's kind of like, right, okay, where are we going? This could have something fun. And she then went, I don't trust you. I don't trust anyone anymore apart from Dirty Dom and Raquel, which is interesting, which is very interesting. And she goes, you are not sending Roxanne Perez out there for Raquel's match against Sane. And, Finn was like, oh, well, there's two words, two sides to every story. And you could see that we are going to be getting Finn Balor against Dirty Dom for the IC belt in the next couple of weeks. We can see this because, well, the Judgment Day seem to be imploding, which kind of sucks because obviously Carlito has been released. He won't be signing a new deal with them. And if we see him on TV the next week or two, that's going to be it for him, which sucks. But again, no, that's what we got. But then the match came about, folks, and it was Raquel Rodriguez against Kairi Sane. And it was actually a very good match. And to be honest with you, it was actually my favourite match of the night. Which, considering the people we had in the other matches, it was like, come on. But Raquel and Kira, they did an absolute awesome match. It was a David and Goliath match, obviously, because Sane is a lot smaller than Rodriguez. But we also had a lot, and I mean a lot, of We Want Truth rants, which I really do hope something happens there because they're like, the entire world is upset about this, which is absolutely incredibly hysterical because you even got like USA Today and newspapers in this country all going on about it because everyone knows R-Truth is the greatest of all time. But with this though, Liv Morgan did come down to the ring to try and help Raquel. But then we had Io Sky come on down to even the odds. Overall, in the end, we did actually get Sane getting the win after she landed an insane elbow on Raquel. But it does seem that we may get Io Sky and Sane against Raquel and Liv for the Women's Tag Team Gold sooner rather than later. Well, folks, our main event was upon us, and to be honest with you, it was actually a really good match. Grande Americano, AJ Styles and CM Punk all vying for the final spot in Money in the Bank this coming Saturday. And obviously, we had some great spots here. We had AJ Styles taking out nearly everyone with a flying crossbody to the outside. Oh, and when I mean everybody, Bronson Reed, Bron Breakker, and Seth Rollins all got involved. Yeah, that's what we got. And obviously with this, it was actually very interesting because when you see in this photo, you got these three men. It's like, to be honest with you, why is Grande Americano in there? You know why? And it would have been a lot easier, I think, as well, if they actually gave it to Karrion Kross, because that guy deserves a spot in the main event. He does. Yeah, the guy is absolutely amazing. He's a great wrestler. He's a great talker. And to be honest with you, at this moment in time, he has the world behind him. He's that good with everything. But obviously with this though, which kind of the outshock, is that Grande Americano won the match. Yeah, obviously this is due to Seth Rollins and his crew taking out AJ Styles and CM Punk. Now with this, obviously, Grande Americano, he was actually checked over by the ref for any metal plate in his mask because they know exactly what he was doing. But that's how he won. He slipped the metal plate in and he got the win and the pin over AJ Styles. But with this though, Rollins and his crew got in the ring. They basically destroyed everyone and they stood tall. We had Sami Zayn, we had Jey Uso all coming into the ring to try and help. But Rollins and his company, they just stood tall as the show went off the air. Now, Raw was a very very mixed bag this week. And to be honest with you, it had a lot more downs than ups, which is sad and it's not good because ever since they've gone on to Netflix, we've consistently had good shows. You know, there's been like the one or odd segment which didn't really work and didn't really, jive with the crowd and everything else. But this week's Raw, everything just seemed wrong and out of place. It was very discombobulated, I think is probably the best word to describe them. Because you had people involved in this angle who, for some unknown reason, they were in this fight because, again, they don't want to move on with this one. People didn't really like this, so we're moving you to over here, but then no one likes you over here, then you move them back. It's like, what are you doing and what is going on? For myself, Raw this week was just a mundane 6.9 out of 10. I think this is actually the lowest rating I've given Raw since I started this channel, which is not good, and I think it's the worst rating I've given to Raw in like a year as well when I've done my other stuff with them. But yeah, let's hope SmackDown is better on Friday, folks. But we have a jam-packed weekend. We have Worlds Collide. Here in the UK, I will be doing a watch-along with it, so we can watch it because it's going to be on YouTube as well, which is absolutely crazy and insane to think. But then we got Money in the Bank later on Sunday morning for myself, which starts at midnight, but I will be covering that on Sunday. So we got a lot coming out, folks. So stay tuned, like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Let us know what you thought of Raw below.